whose words and cries of pain we will never hear, and yet to whom we are linked in a past that is never dead and never really past, and a future that never arrives but beckons us and keeps us going. And so history never ends, the last page is never written, and the best pages are written not by princes, presidents, prime ministers, popes, but by the people. For all their faults and shortcomings, the people are all we have. In fact, we are they. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Hello. Hello, noble ones. Are your shield walls prepared, noble ones? Let me see your shields. Shields in chat if you're a noble one. Oh yeah, I mean, you know, can I watch JJ McCullough on stream today? If you pay me, sure. You could not, you would have to pay me a lot to watch that guy's content. I mean, that is just absolute bottom of the barrel type shit. That's like Chud Logic ass type shit right there. One time had a debate with JJ McCullough, and he just and One Dime, by the way, is a very nice, generous guy. You know, he's not someone that like tries to destroy people. Yet still, One Dime destroyed JJ McCullough so bad that McCullough asked One Dime not to release the debate. So it's only on his Patreon, I believe. But yeah, I mean. You know, when it comes to reporting H3's content, yeah, you know, as I've said before, you know, growing up as a high schooler, a white high schooler in America, a white dude high schooler in America, everyone was into H3's videos, you know. And some of them were genuinely funny, so it is pretty incredible to see just how far he's fallen, you know, how bad the brainwashing has gotten, Israeli brainwashing. But, oh yeah, I'm sure plenty of his videos are totally reportable, for sure. Okay, so what'd you think about B's take on Ukraine? Did you have problems with his take? I watched the video and I thought his takes were pretty good. Ukraine is a Western puppet government. Euromaidan and what led up to it had heavy influences from the West, obviously. The West is not innocent, but Russia did not do itself any favors by launching an invasion which killed hundreds of thousands of people, you know? And Putin, you know, when Putin did that interview with Tucker Carlson, he had the opportunity to be like, here's my problems with NATO and Western imperialism and all that stuff. And he didn't really do that, from what I remember. He just spent the whole time being like, yes, Lars Jo Rurakurid, the Duke of Moscow from 1458 AD, conquered Ukraine, so we are entitled to Ukraine. It was shit like that. Putin isn't doing this because he's some principled anti-imperialist. He literally was part of the dismantling of the Soviet Union. He was the protege of Boris Yeltsin. He was picked by Boris Yeltsin to be Boris Yeltsin's successor. You know? He's just like a more competent Boris Yeltsin. Although it's hard to say he's very competent either. I mean, the war in Ukraine has not exactly raised the country's standing. And yeah, there's Nazis in Ukraine. There's a ton of Nazis in Ukraine. But what the fuck is Wagner then? You know, what is Wagner? The co-founder of Wagner is a literal total Nazi. Like, he's covered in Nazi tattoos. So yeah, I mean, I think it's fine to say that, you know, both to say, you know, the West is far from innocent, but also that invading Ukraine was not the good move, you know. And I mean, you could say, you know, at least he pulled it off, right? You could say if Putin pulled it off, like, all right, he pulled it off, but he hasn't pulled it off, you know? The war is like in a stalemate now. And yeah, Ukraine isn't winning the war, but is Russia winning the war, you know? Yeah, I mean, that was his point, that, you know, invading Ukraine is not exactly gonna, you know, endear people. Invading Ukraine isn't gonna be like, oh my god, Putin's right, you know? When you blow up people's houses and shit, you know, that's not gonna make people more appreciative. It's gonna make people want to be Ukrainian more, right? It's gonna create a stronger sense of national identity around being Ukrainian. Maybe Putin will win out in the end. Maybe in the end that, you know, Putin will basically at least get, you know, the territory there is now, you know. And, you know, he could call it a win. But why do I care? You know, why should we cheer that on? You know? Putin was best friends with Alexander Solzhenitsyn, who wrote the Gulag Archipelago. And people will point to like, oh, but the Soviet Union is like, you know, that they're bringing back like Stalin worship, and it's like they're only doing that for the sole purpose of, you know, trying to like win over. You know, they're trying to compare this to defeating the Nazis in World War II, you know? It's not because they want to bring back socialism or something like that, you know? What is this stream about? Hello, Democratic Socialist. Well, I am a Marxist-Leninist. And we are here today to fucking, I don't know, watch some fucking videos, you know? There was a couple of videos I wanted to check out. Friend of the channel, Revolutionary Thought, released What Soviet Cartoons Teach Us About Socialism. And this is on topic about, because I was actually working on, you know, learning about Soviet animation and finding if there were old, forgotten Soviet cartoons that I could share. So, yeah. Man, you're being so silly, dude. You're such a silly little guy. There was a dude in the chat absolutely screaming and insulting me for daring to say that, you know, maybe the invasion wasn't a good idea. That's not a disagreeable post. Those are insulting, deranged screeds, bro. There's a big difference, my friend. Do I have any plans to be on the Deprogram podcast? Yeah, that's all right. Yeah, people ask me that every stream. Yes, I would be happy to, if they invite me on. Am I connected with Midwestern Marx in any way? No, I'm not. But yeah, I've been looking into Soviet cartoons and they're pretty interesting, and so I wanted to check this video out. And then also I wanted to watch this video about why the Soviets invaded Afghanistan. I've seen the blowback. The blowback season about Afghanistan is really good. And I think this has a similar position, so I'd want to look into that. As a Dutch person, should you be worried about the U.S. invading The Hague? The thing is that for Netanyahu to ever go to The Hague, he'd have to go to a country that would be willing to arrest him, and I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think Netanyahu's going to risk going to a country that might arrest him in the first place. So the ICC ruling is a very good and big symbolic thing, but I seriously doubt it's going to lead to, like, him being arrested or anything like that. You know? Anyways, let's check this video out.
The first form of televised media we watch as kids tends to be made specifically for kids. The major purpose of this children's media is to instill pro-social values and teach kids what behaviors are acceptable or not. Children are the future, so children's media can be seen as a mechanism for influencing the future and shaping their behavior. Before the youth are influenced by TikTok, they're influenced by PBS or whatever. At best, children's media can instill a love of learning, foster empathy for and solidarity with your fellow humans, build social skills, emphasize the interdependence between individuals and the collective, and teach values like love, care, creativity, patience, and honesty. At its worst, however, children's media can glorify values that are definitely not pro-social, like winning at all costs, valuing the individual above the collective, labeling certain people as inherently evil and others as inherently good due to some innate quality of theirs, using violence to get what you want, and the like. Basically all the things glorified in Harry Potter, but that's not what we're talking about today. You can tell a lot about what a particular culture values through the values promoted in its children's media. So today I wanted to talk about Soviet children's cartoons, specifically how they were used as a vehicle for instilling socialist values and morality in kids and even adults. There's like a siren outside my apartment. Can you hear that? We can't realistically talk about what values every single Soviet cartoon conveys, because that would be a lot, so I've selected a few super popular ones that also happen to be my personal favorites that I grew up with, but that were also super popular and influential in the Soviet Union and still are to this day.
Oh, she grew up with socialist cartoons? Is she from... Oh, yeah, I think she mentioned having some relation to the Soviet Union, but I can't remember what. Is my sound alright, by the way?
In former Soviet countries. And pretty much all of these have been rebooted as either live-action films or animated TV series in recent years, so we can safely say they're still extremely popular. 1. Cheburashka and the Transformative Power of Labor. This brings us to our first Soviet animated short film. If you know anything about the Soviet Union, you've probably seen this adorable fuzzy little Soviet icon. There are 4 Soviet animated short films that feature Cheburashka, and
I've never fucking seen that in my life. I have absolutely no clue what that is.
also a Russian 2023 live-action reboot with a CGI Cheburashka. But we're just gonna focus on the stop-motion animated short film called Cheburashka, first released in 1971, produced by Soyuz Multfilm, and directed by Roman Kachanov. The film starts off with Crocodile Gena, or Gena the crocodile, singing a banger of a song about his birthday. Cheburashka arrives with a gift for Gena. Then a group of pioneers marches past them on their way to plant some trees. Cheburashka says that he wishes he could walk like them, and Gena says, you know, you have to do a lot of good to become a pioneer. The Pioneers were a youth organization in the Soviet Union in which young people ages 9 to 14 learned and propagated communist ideology and principles and engaged in socially useful work, like collecting scrap metal, planting trees, and picking up trash. They were seen as the youngest builders of communism, and their slogan was "Always Ready," or "Всегда готов." They also got cute little Lenin pins with the slogan and cool red scarves. Although by the end of the USSR's existence, becoming a member of the Young Pioneers became more of a formality than anything else, and pretty much every kid became a pioneer, the original Young Pioneers organization, founded in 1922, was instrumental in the USSR's Young Pioneer formality than anything else, and pretty much
That's something you'll notice about so much propaganda, is just how diverse Soviet propaganda is, just how diverse it is. You know, you have a black kid, and mind you, you know, there were almost no, you know, native-born black kids in the Soviet Union, but there were hundreds of thousands of people from Africa who the Soviet Union basically paid and funded them to come to the Soviet Union to study and learn and all that stuff. And people will point to, like, a few instances in the Soviet Union, like the bare few that they can point to of, like, anti-black racism. Not even, there's, like, one guy who came to the Soviet Union to work, and then he wrote a book, like, saying, like, yeah, you know, it's alright, but not that great, or whatever, and people will point to that guy and ignore just, like, how many hundreds of thousands of people came to the Soviet Union, black people from Africa, and, you know, had their lives drastically improved. Because obviously having an education is a big factor in improving your life. And then, of course, also Central Asian person.
Every kid became a pioneer. The original Young Pioneers organization,
although I guess you could also say they might be Mongolia, which I guess Mongolia wouldn't be Central Asia, and that'd be like East Asia or something like that.
founded in 1922, was instrumental in the USSR's liquidation of illiteracy campaign that ultimately brought near full literacy to the Soviet Union. For reference, at the time of the October Revolution in 1917, about 37.9%.
It's just so funny to me when people say, like, anarchists will say, like, in the Leninist or Soviet state, the workers that come to power become the new rulers, and it's like, so why did they teach everyone to read? Like, if you just wanted to be a ruler again, why would you teach everyone how to read? Like, that seems not conducive to being able to control the populace.
9% of males and 12.5% of females ages 7 and older were literate. That's not a lot of people. By December 1926, 65.4% of males and 36.7% of females above 7 were literate, and by the 1960s, nearly everyone in the USSR was literate. Making people literate also isn't just a factor of time passing and more people magically deciding to read. It's an active process that requires struggle, which is why in the capitalist US, literacy rates are declining and are now at about 79%, which should really contextualize how...
Hold on. Are you fucking serious? Hold on a sec. What? Oh man, I knew the US sucked, but I did not know it sucks that much. 21% of adults in the US are illiterate. %54% of adults in the US have a literacy below a 6th grade level. Massachusetts is the state with the highest rate of child literacy. Or literacy. Okay, I was about to say, because isn't Massachusetts where all the Ivy League colleges are? New Mexico is the state with the lowest literacy rate. The state with the lowest adult literacy rate is California. That's incredible. I guess a lot of that is from undocumented or maybe documented immigrants. I don't know if it takes into account undocumented immigrants, but I mean, yeah, no wonder it's not surprising they would not teach these kinds of people how to read, because America has and needs a vast underclass to do all the dirty labor no one else wants to do. I think we have like 12 million undocumented workers. Yeah, and they do all the shit. And then also even legal migrants. They do all the shit no one else wants to do. The janitor work, the farm work. Who needs to teach them to read, right? We can just pay them $6 an hour. That's just shocking to me. That's really shocking. The Soviet Union had like 100% literacy rate in the 1960s. Yeah, this is a bunch of AI nonsense. Okay, well, let me just double check that this is true. That is fucking surreal. I need to know, does this include undocumented workers, or is this just like, are this legal citizens? 1 in 5 Americans can't read? That is fucking incredible. Yeah, if you teach them that things, they will understand they're being exploited. Exactly. And that's what the Soviet Union understood, you know? That is amazing.
Amazing it was that the USSR achieved nearly full literacy in the 1960s, especially among a population that was mostly illiterate just 40 years prior. That's incredible. If you're not impressed, you're probably an anti-communist. Also, during World War II, when the Soviets were fighting the Nazis, pioneers collected money for defense, helped out at factories and collective farms, helped take care of the wounded, and many other helpful things, with some even fighting the enemy on the battlefield or becoming members of partisan detachments. Anyway, those are the pioneers that Krokodil Gena and Cheburashka think are so cool. Yeah, these pioneers are child communists, and they're cool specifically because they are so helpful to their community. They're not just individually cool guys that are cool because of some innate quality that they have. They're cool because they're a unit that works together to make things better for everyone in the community. They're cool because they embody working class solidarity. Gena opens his gift from Cheburashka, a small helicopter. Cheburashka starts winding it up wrong, and Gena shows him how to do it correctly, but Cheburashka flies away because he's so tiny and cute and, like, a little bit incompetent. And he lands right next to the pioneers themselves, who are working on building a birdhouse. Gena shows up, and they ask to join the pioneers, and the pioneers are like, can you make birdhouses? Have you ever made fires? Can you march? And Gena and Cheburashka have done none of those things, so the pioneers are like, see, it's too early, and we only take the best. Cheburashka is like, well, we'll become the best, and the pioneers are like, okay, then come back, once you're the best. I love how the pioneers don't outright reject them. They're not like, we can't take the likes of you because you're a crocodile and you're a weird fuzzy thing, so obviously you have no place in the pioneers. No, who they are doesn't matter, it's what they can do that matters. And
why would those literacy rates surprise you? Why would 1 in 5 people not being able to read in the supposed richest country on earth surprise me? Are you serious? I mean, I'm known America hater here, known anti-America guy. But even I am amazed at that stat. I don't see why you wouldn't be. That's a crazy stat if you didn't know it. But it makes sense, you know, like in the red state I'm in, education has been cut over and over and over again. And so yeah, I've seen firsthand all of these students who they come into college and yeah, they don't know how to write, they don't know how to read. And it's because the teachers are so overworked and underpaid and under-resourced that they kind of just pass everyone. They kind of just give everyone passing grades. Yeah, I mean, that's an incredible stat. And it's a really good sign of where this country is going. I mean, that's a stat pre 4 more years of Trump, right? Imagine at the end of the 4 years of Trump where things are going to be with literacy. Like, whew, you know, it's crazy because when I was growing up, you know, I wrote tons of essays. You know, you had to read, you had to write. And now I just don't understand it. It's insane. America is not just stagnating, it is regressing at an astonishing rate. And mind you, yeah, it's like 20% can't read at all. But then it was like 60% read below a 6th grade level or some shit. That's just fucking surreal. That is absolutely unbelievable. Yeah, I mean, yeah, Parenti, you know, the legendary speech. Yeah, this is the whole thing where he asks, like,
it means to be able to read. Do you know what it means to be able not to read? I remember when I gave my book to my father, I dedicated a book of mine, Power and the Powerless, to my father. I said, to my father with my love. Gave him a copy of the book. He opened it up, looked at that. He'd only gone to the 7th grade. He was a son of an immigrant, a working class Italian. And he opens the book and he starts looking through it. And he gets misty-eyed, very misty-eyed. And I thought it's because he was so touched that his son had dedicated a book to him. That wasn't the reason. He looks up to me and says, I can't read this, kid. I said, that's okay, Dad. Neither can the students. I mean, that's not something. I mean, don't worry about that. I wrote it for you. I mean, it's your book, and you don't have to read it. You know, it's a very complicated book, academic book. He says, yeah, I can't read this book. And the defeat that man felt. That's what illiteracy is about. That's what the joy of literacy programs is. That's why in Nicaragua you got people walking proud now for the first time. They were animals before. They weren't allowed to read. They weren't taught to read. And that's why I support revolution. The revolution that feeds the children gets my support. Not blindly, not unqualifiedly. And the Reaganite government that tries to stop that kind of process, that tries to keep those people in poverty and illiteracy and hunger, that gets my undiluted animosity and opposition.
Yeah, so that's the Yellow Parenti lecture. Yeah, I mean, it needs to be said, like, literacy is the key to everything, right? Literacy is the key to upward mobility. You in today's world, you functionally cannot succeed unless you're like a fucking, like, TikToker. You cannot succeed unless you have you're literate, you know. So yeah, I mean, in the grand scheme, it's not surprising that they're not teaching people how to read, because again, the more people are taught how to read, the more likely they are to become socialists, the more likely they are to, you know, engage with and find resources that contradict or challenge the system under which they live. And the Soviets genuinely and earnestly believed that they were right? They believed that, you know, there was no fear, there was no harm from teaching people to read, because they knew that what they were doing was actually improving people's lives, right? They knew they were improving people's lives. So they weren't afraid to teach people how to read, because they had nothing to hide, like America does. America has a lot of things to hide, you know? And I think that's where YouTube videos are important, I suppose, you know? But you gotta know how to fucking read. All this, yeah, it's like... There's a legendary tweet from an anarchist. And of course, this person's like a hardcore anti-tanky anarchist. Like, they're always talking about tankies and shit. But friendly reminder that literacy isn't an uncomplicated political good, and the framing of it as an important life skill ignores the context that makes it necessary for survival. So this is like my favorite shit of all time. And then they go on to say, when tankies talk about raising literacy rates and pulling people out of poverty, they ignore that states are responsible for the creation and continuation of problems they solve. Okay. Do you know that people can live under poverty, not in a state? Do you know that states don't just cause poverty alone? No, this anarchist is not cooking. You misread. You misread. This anarchist is very much not cooking. And they doubled down, tripled down, quadrupled down, you know, like insulted everyone that challenged them. They started saying, like, you know, the state teaches you to read, teaches you literacy so you can, like, read documents and shit. As if there aren't so much pleasures, you know? Ignoring just survival, there's also all the pleasures that come from reading, you know? The pleasures of reading a novel or reading creative nonfiction. So yeah. So yeah, I know I've gotten way off topic from the video, but it just bears mentioning, like, again, like how both shocking but also not surprising that 20% of Americans can't read. It is.
And they can't really do much yet. So instead, the pioneers basically say, you are not qualified yet, but come back later. It's very wholesome and shows us, the viewers, that getting rejected now doesn't mean you'll be rejected forever. Just because you can't do a thing right now doesn't mean you're doomed to not be able to do the thing. It just means that you're not there yet. And I think that's a great message, honestly. In the next scene, Gena and Chебuraschka attempt to build a birdhouse, and it's kind of janky. Gena is like, nothing is working, and Cheburaschka is like, don't worry, we'll rest and then try again. As Gena is jamming on his accordion, he sees a kid climbing up a fire escape and chasing a butterfly. Gena saves this kid from falling off a balcony and tells him to not climb fire escapes. Then the kid falls into a manhole, which Gena saves him from again, and he's like, what are you kids doing? Do you not have anything better to do? And they're like, yeah, no, we literally don't have anything better to do. First, Gena is like, okay, what if we turn this thing into a house, and then gets electrocuted because this thing is an electrical box, and he's...
Yeah, I mean, to be clear, I really think that anarchists, the main reason they were talking shit about literacy was not some principled belief, even that literacy was bad. It was that they had to think of a way to be against literacy going up because states do it so well. Because socialist states do it so well. I don't think it was like some principled thing that they always believed. Like, yeah.
He's like, okay, let's not do that actually. So he leaves and then comes back with equipment for building a playground for these kids. The pioneers see Gena working and ask if they can join, but he's like, no, you guys are so busy, and you let the jackhammer go, which he says right after letting the jackhammer go himself. Cheburaschka is like, now they'll never take us. Then, as Gena and Cheburaschka are jamming again, a police officer shows up and is like, Citizen Gena, did you steal the compressor? Gena is like, yeah, I did. And the cop is like, what were you planning on using it for? And Gena and Cheburaschka are like, oh, we already used it. We built a playground for the kids. The officer takes a look at the playground and is like, ha, good job. Don't worry about the compressor. We'll deal with it ourselves. And then takes it and leaves.
I mean, anarchists have no reason to teach people to read. I mean, we talked about the Zapatistas. The Zapatistas, the indigenous people in Chiapas, have an extremely low literacy rate. I think it's like 50%. I'm not sure. You can go back to that stream, but yeah. It's very disturbing.
Zero problems. Totally chill. While in capitalist countries like the United States, the police force sides with the bourgeoisie, the ruling class, to protect private property like 100% of the time, this dynamic can't possibly exist in a country with no private property. like the USSR. Private property being property that an individual or corporation, who is an individual in a lot of places because of corporate personhood, owns that they earn a profit from owning, such as a factory, a mine, or an apartment complex, for example. The existence of private property necessitates the exploitation of the working class, because profits are just unpaid wages. The USSR, like any socialist nation, only had personal property, like your personal house or toothbrush, and public property. So this officer is here to protect public property that probably anyone can use if they go through the appropriate channels, and once he sees that this property has been put to good use, he can't even be mad that Ganna didn't go through the official channels to rent the compressor. So basically, this scene could never be recreated in a capitalist nation because it simply would not make sense. If you steal a compressor from Home Depot or some other private business in the United States and use it to build something for the good of your community under capitalism, you're gonna be in trouble, and you probably need a permit for that anyway. But as we learn in this scene, under socialism, the public good comes above all else. Even if you end up committing a little bit of theft accidentally along the way. That's fine, it was for the good of society, so who cares that you accidentally went about it the wrong way. Then Ganna and Cheburashka see the pioneers marching with signs saying that they're collecting scrap metal, and they go to...
Yeah, that's an interesting, because I know that thievery was a thing in the Soviet Union, you know, like from the workplace. So I wonder if the message of that was like, go ahead and steal, but like, at least put it to good use. You know, it's like, we can't prevent people from stealing, but at least do something good with it. Some people probably identify as anarchists because propaganda has made them hate every left-wing state. Yeah, I mean, that's why I don't just condemn anarchists, and that's why I actually think anarchists are the most likely to become Leninists, because they have the radical politics, they have the radical desire for a different world. They just don't. They've just been taught that like the Soviet Union was just as bad or worse than America. So, therefore, the only choice is no state, right? The only choice is instantly have no state. My brain is not working well tonight. I was going to say something else. Oh well. But yeah, I believe that anarchists are the most radicalizable. I know that's not a word, but they have the radical politics. They just need the proper guidance, you know. And I think some of them, and to be fair, again, as I've said this on a previous stream, I don't think all anarchists are like this. I think some anarchists are completely disingenuous prick scumbag losers, right? I think there's, or just hopeless, you know. But some anarchists do have the potential to become Leninists, which is why I kind of want to debate anarchist YouTubers if possible. But yeah, they're very misled. Like Andrewism, for example, like he had a slide in one of his videos where he was like, you know, rather try. Here, I'll bring it up actually. It's extremely disturbing, you know, and it shows like how out of touch he is. So he had this he had this slide up in a video, and he said, "Some folks may think it's better to lead any revolution, even if it's authoritarian, than to be part of a losing anti-authoritarian one. But not me. But perhaps it's easier, but I'd rather maintain an anti-authoritarian revolution, even if defeat looms, than compromise on my principles and strangle the revolution in its crib in favor of what seems to pass for efficiency and success." Oh, I'm blocking it. Do you guys see how insane that is? And this touches on what I've believed for a while, is that anarchists care more about the means than the ends. They care more about the means of how they do a revolution than what the actual ends are, right? They care more that they do it in their perfect, morally pure way, rather than actually seeing any lasting change. And there it is, right there. Andrewism just straight up admits it. He straight up admits that he'd rather have a revolution completely fail than have it be a Soviet state, right? So yeah, I mean, someone like anarchism, I don't know, he might be a little bit too brainwashed. Like, that's crazy, but I don't know. Let me see. Anyways, I was not intending to talk about anarchism today, but that's just how it's ended up.
Collect some. Gienah, being a crocodile, is able to dive to get a bunch of scrap metal from a port, including a ship's anchor, which is kind of funny. They bring this scrap metal to the pioneers, who are super happy about it and say they'll be guaranteed first place now. As Gienah and Cheburashka go to leave, the pioneers are like, wait, no, we'll accept you in our troop. Gienah is like, but we don't know how to march. And the pioneers are like, that doesn't matter. Look at how much good you've done. We'll teach you how to march. And they all march off together. So cute. If you were a kid watching Cheburashka, what would it teach you? Probably that the pioneers are some of the coolest people and that you should totally want to join them so you can help your community too, because the coolest thing you can do is helping others. Cheburashka also teaches us about the transformative power of labor. At the beginning, Gienah and Cheburashka have no clue what they're doing and, if anything, are kind of incompetent. They just know that they want to be pioneers and help others. But they get gently rejected because they're kind of incompetent. However, once there's an opportunity for them to help their community by building a playground so these rowdy kids stop falling out of windows and into manholes, they take it. Even though it starts off kind of janky and Gienah ends up electrocuted and has a run-in with law enforcement that's honestly pretty chill, all things considered, it is through laboring for the common good that Gienah and Cheburashka build up the skills to be able to join the pioneers. It takes some trial and error, but they ultimately build a fully functioning playground, collect scrap metal, and just generally do a lot of good in this short 19-minute film. They transform the world via their own labor and are also transformed by laboring for the better. Very cute, very wholesome, we love that. 2. Bremiensky Muzykante and Working Class Liberation. Brementown Musicians, or Bremiensky Muzykante, is a 1969 short animated musical film produced by Soyuz Multfilm and directed by Inessa Kovalevskaya based on the Brothers Grimm fairy tale, Town Musicians of Bremen. It's basically 20 minutes straight of banger songs with a rock and roll inspired sound combined with amazing visuals featuring themes like rejection of the ruling class, liberation from oppression, and solidarity and friendship. Bremiensky Muzykante features 4 singing animals, a rooster, a donkey, a dog, and a cat, who, along with their troubadour friend, are traveling musicians. When these traveling musicians stop by the king's town, the troubadour sees the king's daughter while performing and they fall in love. But right after this beautiful moment, the musicians fall right into the king's castle, breaking a window and get kicked out of town. Afterwards, while the traveling musicians are trying to find a place to stay for the night, the troubadour and the princess sing about how they miss each other. Then our traveling quintet stumbles upon a quartet of robbers who are so aesthetically cool, and they're dancing in their little cabin and drinking and singing all about how tomorrow they're gonna rob the king of his copious amounts of money, and heavily implying that they're also gonna take care of him. Our traveling musicians see this and scare the robbers out of their home by having the animals pop their heads into their windows and making the wrong animal sounds. And then they all stack themselves on top of the donkey with a sheet on top to look like a scary supernatural being, and the robbers run off. The next day, the traveling musicians basically do what the robbers planned on doing, but instead of robbing the king, they just scare him and his guard, and then kidnap the king and tie him to a tree. Which is honestly a better fate than being robbed, I guess. The troubadour then shows up, out of disguise now, singing about how he misses the princess and wishes the king would let him be with her, and the king is like, oh my god, please help me, I'm tied to a tree! I mean, he doesn't literally say that, he doesn't actually have any lines in this, but that's kind of what's happening. The troubadour pretends to beat up the robbers inside the cabin, but actually it's our traveling musician friends just being wild and having the zoomies and throwing laundry out the window and doing cartwheels. Then the traveling musicians come out and rescue the king, even though this was their plan all along. The king takes them to the palace, the princess meets them, and they all go inside the palace except the animals, who are locked out. The king throws a ball where the troubadour teaches everyone how to play instruments and dance in like a cool way and not like a boring monarchy type way, because the working class is cooler. That's what I'm learning from this. The working class is cooler than the monarchy. In the morning, the rooster calls for the troubadour, but he doesn't come out, so the animal friends go off on their way, singing the same song about friendship from the beginning, but in a sad way because their friend has abandoned them. Or did he? He and the princess actually leave the palace together, run after them, and then hop on the wagon with the troubadour announcing announcing that he's there by singing the next verse of the song. Clearly he's got amazing lung capacity because he was able to belt that out after all that running. Very impressive. Also, this scene makes me cry like every time. Oh my god, I love friendship. Though this story is based off of source material that literally involves just the four animals with no troubadour, princess, or king, scaring off robbers and then stealing and living in their cottage after beating them up, Badempanada Muzikante puts a socialist twist on the original Brothers Grimm fairy tale by not having the characters permanently seize the robbers' home, by making the king more of an antagonist than the robbers, who are really more of an inconvenience, but also a source of inspiration for the traveling musician's sneaky ploy, and who have one of the best songs in the entire film, and by showing us that we shouldn't aspire to join the ruling class because friendship and solidarity are far more important. At the end, the animals think their friend has betrayed them and chosen a life of luxury, balls, and palaces as part of the monarchy, but instead, the troubadour pleasantly surprises them by choosing his old life and even saving the princess from the boredom of palace life. Consensually, of course. She literally sings a song about how she wants to be free from the palace. She doesn't get kidnapped or anything. They're in cahoots, it's fine. The troubadour does not want to join the ruling class. He wants friendship, solidarity, and liberation, which to him and his friends means traveling from town to town, bringing joy and happiness to people via their music. They find liberation through sharing their artistry with the masses rather than through aspiring to join the ruling class, which is often sold to us as the only means of attaining liberation in a society that runs off of exploitation. Like, under capitalism, we're often taught that the only way to be free is to become a capitalist. Invest in some real estate, buy some stocks, start your own business, then you won't have to worry about being exploited. But in Badempanada Muzikante, the princess, who is already in a privileged position, free from exploitation as part of the ruling class, and who can basically have whatever she wants in life as the daughter of a wealthy king, rejects her ruling class lifestyle and chooses to run off with the traveling musicians because she knows that simply being part of the ruling class is not liberation. I mean, the very first song in Badempanada Muzikante basically lets us know the ideology of this film. The lyrics are all about how there's nothing better than being with friends, how friendship eases your troubles, how palaces may be tempting, but they'll never replace freedom, and how they're happy to live the way they do. Traveling together, bringing laughter and joy to people through their art, and simply being in nature. The traveling musician's vision is one that mirrors socialist aspirations for a better world of equality, justice, and shared prosperity, free from exploitation. They don't want to be beholden to some unelected king. They want to live life according to their own values on their own terms. And if that requires them to scare some robbers and borrow their house for a night so they can scare the king while disguised as robbers and then save him to get closer to the princess, well, that's fine too. As a working class person, you're allowed to mess with the ruling class like that once in a while as a treat. Maybe more than once in a while. I'm not telling you how to live your life, I'm just saying what Badempanada Muzikante has taught me. 3.
The traveling theme is interesting since one of the goals of the Soviet Union was to, like, you know, get rid of nomadism and settle people down, you know? Give everyone houses so they don't have to, you know, travel wherever.
Простоквашино, autonomy, and solidarity. This brings us to our final Soviet cartoon. Troya is Простоквашино, or 3 from Простоквашино. Простоквашино? How do you say that Englishly? I don't know. I'll just call it Простоквашино. Простоквашино is a 1978 short animated film directed by Vladimir Popov and produced by, you guessed it, Союзмультфильм. It starts off with Dядя Fyodor, or Uncle Fyodor, who is in fact a child and not anyone's uncle, walking through his apartment complex stairwell while eating a sandwich. Matroskin, an adorable striped cat, tells him that he's eating that sandwich wrong and needs to flip it upside down so that the meat is on the bottom and touches your tongue when you bite into it. Iconic, honestly. After talking for a bit, Uncle Fyodor shares some of his sandwich with Matroskin and invites him to live with him. Unfortunately, Uncle Fyodor's extremely overworked and stressed out mom does not want to keep a cat, stating that they're useless, unlike the painting on her wall that covers a giant hole in the wall. So Fyodor and Matroskin run off and move to the countryside. Once they make it to Prostokvashino, they run into a dog named Shadik, who asks to live with them and says he'll protect everything for them. They don't actually have a place to live yet, but Shadik tells them that there's actually an empty house that they can stay in, and they let him come live with them. They move into the house, which has a sign that literally says, "Free house, whoever wants can live here," because landlords don't exist under socialism, and they clean the place up. As they're cleaning, some bloke shows up and asks whose boy Uncle Fyodor is, and where he came from.
Yeah, I mean, housing was abundant in the Soviet Union. What was less abundant was like the apartments in the cities and stuff that people wanted. Hello again. Hello.
Uncle Fyodor says, "I'm not anyone's.
So I wouldn't be surprised if there were like houses that were just like, come in, move in. Although I'm not sure.
My own boy, I'm here from the city." And the bloke is like, "That's impossible. Children have to be someone's." Of course, Matroskin and Shadik are real friends and back up their friend. Matroskin is like, "I'm my own cat," and Shadik is like, "I'm my own dog." So, you know, of course, Fyodor is his own boy. And then Matroskin is like, "Why do you care? Are you from the police?" Big boot. Such an icon. I love him. Then we learn that this bloke is Mailman Pechkin, or Почтальон Pechkin, and he needs to know who everyone is so he can deliver mail. Also, the fact that Fyodor says that he's his own boy is not only kind of funny, but also very much in line with socialist values. For example, Cuba's 2022 Family Code, which is the most progressive in the entire world, and which was created via participatory democracy and passed with about 67% of the vote, and which legalized gay marriage and gave more rights to queer and disabled people. We love to see it, wahoo! Anyway, Cuba's Family Code emphasizes the concept of parental responsibility over parental custody, stating that parents are required to be respectful.
Yeah, that Family Code was so important because it showed, it completely and decisively proved once and for all that Leninist states can not just be pro-LGBT, but more pro-LGBT than capitalist states. And this was also proved in the early Soviet Union, where LGBT rights were more advanced than just about anywhere on Earth. So, yeah, that was such a great achievement because it really shut up the anarchists and liberals who like to point to poor queer rights in socialist states to condemn it, you know?
Respectful of the dignity and physical and mental integrity of children and adolescents. It also declares that parents should give maturing offspring more autonomy over their own lives. Children are autonomous individuals with their own goals, dreams, identities, perspectives, and interests, rather than an extension of their parents or a tool to be exploited. And socialists understand and respect that, which is also why one of the most famous child psychologists that you probably ever heard of, Vygotsky, or Lev Vygotsky, was a Marxist who used dialectical materialism as a foundational basis for his theories of childhood development, but we're not going to get into that right now. But basically, socialists respect the autonomy of children, and Prostokvashino is a film about how children are autonomous beings who could be pretty competent given the career.
What's going on in China? Does anyone know? China watchers with queer rights? Are things getting better, worse? Yeah, also East Germany, queer rights.
Environment and community. In the next scene, the trio eat a meal while discussing how they need to get money and milk, basically trying to make a business plan so they can stop being so broke. Matroskin recommends selling sharik, and Fyodor is like, we're not selling anyone. So they go out and look for buried treasure, and I find this hilarious because, like, child labor is obviously bad, and socialists especially hate child labor, so instead of having this kid engage in child labor to make money, the writers were like, we will solve their economic problems by making them easily find buried treasure. Bam! No need for child labor. I kind of love that, honestly. As they head back with their buried treasure, they see Piechkin chasing a bird who has stolen his Olympic ruble. Fyodor catches the bird, and Piechkin is like, we need to send this bird to the polyclinic for experiments. And Fyodor is like, whoa, buddy, we're not doing that. I'm going to take him in and teach him how to talk. That's right, we don't do carceral punishment here. We engage in restorative justice. That's praxis. That bird can't steal if he has better things to do. Also, here's your ruble back. Then we see the mom and dad discussing how their kid is missing, and the dad suggests that if they let kids have cats, they won't disappear. But the mom says, then the parents will start disappearing. This woman is so overworked and stressed out. I guess even socialist nations hadn't figured out how to reduce work-related stress in the 1970s yet. And this is a great way of critiquing that, honestly. Like, she is stressed out. The dad suggests putting a missing ad in the paper. In the next scene, Matroskin teaches the bird how to say, who's there? So if they're away, the bird can answer the door and make it seem like someone is home so they don't get robbed. Then in the scene after, the bird uses his newfound skill to annoy Piechkin by repeatedly asking who's there when Piechkin knocks on the door. It's a really funny scene, honestly. Piechkin repeats himself so many times that when the bird knocks on the door and Piechkin asks who's there, the bird repeats verbatim, it's me, Malin Piechkin, I brought a newspaper about your boy. Это я, почтальон Печкин, принес газету о вашего мальчика. It's such a funny scene. Fyodor and Matroskin arrive and look at the newspaper, which clearly has a picture of their boy, Fyodor. He sighs sadly, and Matroskin is like, hey, don't worry, there's probably plenty of other missing boys with that description. Piechkin says they don't give bicycles for every single one, though, and measures Fyodor. Then Dad Fyodor starts writing a letter to his parents, but their new cow starts eating laundry in the backyard, so Fyodor runs away from his letter to go deal with that, and then Matroskin and Sharik both add on to the letter. So when the parents receive it and read it, it basically says, I live well, just excellent. I have everything. I have my own home. It's warm there. It has one room and a kitchen. I miss you, especially in the evenings, but my health isn't very good. Sometimes my paws hurt and my tail falls off, and by day, I start shedding. Old fur is falling off of me, but the new fur grows back silky and smooth, so my fluffiness has increased. Goodbye, your son, Uncle Shadik. And they're basically like, I guess we've both gone insane. It's also a very funny scene. This is a very funny cartoon. Piechkin shows up and asks them if they're the ones giving a bicycle in exchange for a boy. Meanwhile, Uncle Fyodor is sick, which according to Shadik is from Matroskin giving him unrefrigerated milk. His parents arrive, along with Piechkin, who now has a bike. He's like, look at what they've driven your son to do. We need to give him to the polyclinic for experiments, and then leaves. Fyodor's mom asks where the raspberries are, and Matroskin gives her a jar of raspberry jam, to which she responds with, wow, I didn't know cats could be that smart. I thought they just scream at trees. And Matroskin is like, I can also sew by hand, by machine. And she gives him pets, and he's a very happy boy about it. Haha, take that, mom. Cats are good, actually. The next day, the parents of Fyodor say he's going back to the city with them, but he can take the cat or the dog. Both Shadik and Matroskin decide to stay in Prostokvashino, but say that Fyodor can come back and visit them for vacation or on weekends. They also give Fyodor the talking bird to take with him, and when his dad asks who that is, the bird says, it's me, Mailman Piechkin, bringing the journal Murzilka. Look at him, he learned. Good for him. And the mom is like, oh, how uncomfortable. We forgot about Piechkin. And Shadik is like, rightfully so, that guy sucks, he's nasty. And Piechkin shows up and is like, excuse me, why was I nasty? It's because I didn't have a bike, and now I'm immediately nicer and will get myself an animal and it'll be more fun. And then he says, come visit us in Prostokvashino. And that's the end. Leave it to a Soviet children's cartoon to teach you about how systemic barriers that make it harder to do your job also make you so stressed out that it can be hard to be nice. And having your needs met makes it easier to be nicer. Older people who lived in the Soviet Union and who still miss it often say that one of the things they miss is the fact that people were generally kinder and that there was a sense of solidarity. It's literally true that
Yeah, and people will say the things like this, when people say that, is that they'll say like, oh, that's just like boomer nostalgia. Yeah, so first of all, a lot of these nostalgic boomers or whatever that are just deluded or whatever, they can provide concrete, very concrete examples of how their lives are better. They had better pensions, they had better health care, they had better housing, they had better employment. But secondly, there was a sense of community. And if you don't understand why, you're a complete dipshit, right? Like, that is the whole idea of Soviet Union. Like, that is the whole thing that memes are made out of. Like, not we, not I, we, you know? The whole point of the Soviet Union was community, was togetherness, was we are, you know, one people together. So yeah, it's not just like nostalgic boomers talking about the past. It's a real thing. The idea of it's not a competition, you know, we work together.
production that relies on cooperation rather than exploitation and that aims to remove people's systemic barriers will create a generally nicer populace. That's why you think everyone's an asshole. Capitalism makes people into assholes and reactionaries. I love Prostokvashino because not only is it very funny, but it also teaches us some really important things, like the fact that children have autonomy and can be competent at things in the right environment, that removing systemic barriers and meeting people's needs makes it easier to be nice to others, that you don't need to punish someone to correct their behavior and can instead educate them and redirect them towards a better pattern, and that friendship and solidarity are the most important thing. Conclusion. Чебурашка, Bremenskие музыканты, Troya is Prostokvashino. These three Soviet children's animated films all have something in common, aside from all being produced by Soyuz Multfilm. They all glorify solidarity, friendship, community, and working together for the common good to create a better world for everyone. They also handle conflict in a generally generative way, which I love. Like when Cheburashka and Gena get rejected by the pioneers and then encounter a bunch of hooligans running around getting themselves into danger, they channel their frustration and disappointment into helping their community. And the kids literally stop putting themselves in danger now that they have something better to do. When the bird steals Pichkin's coin, the trio return the coin and teach the bird how to talk so he won't feel compelled to steal more coins. The trio consider Pichkin a nuisance, but when he finally gets a bike, he immediately becomes nicer because a systemic barrier that was making his life harder has been lifted. When the traveling musicians find a bunch of robbers planning on robbing the king, they scare them off and then scare the king for their own benefit, but he's the monarchy, so who cares? And it's obviously a fate better than the one the robbers had planned for him. These animated films, cartoons, whatever you want to call them, teach us that stopping someone from doing something bad is as simple as redirecting them towards a better behavior or changing their material conditions. They also teach us that friendship and solidarity is the most important thing in the world, which is very in line with presenting conflict as generative and overall constructive rather than destructive. Because if you prioritize friendship, unity, and solidarity, you kind of have to be good at conflict resolution. This focus on solidarity and generative conflict as a means of achieving peace and justice really makes a lot of sense when you consider the fact that the first official act of the new Bolshevik government on November 8, 1917, the day the Bolsheviks took power, was to propose to all warring people and their governments to begin immediate negotiations for a just and democratic peace. Socialism, unlike capitalism, does not benefit from or incentivize war. Read Anna Louise Strong's The Soviets Expected It to learn more. It's like a really short book, and I don't know why this version I have is so JPEG, but it's really good. Read it. As a mode of production, socialism relies on cooperation rather than exploitation. So, of course, socialists glorify generative conflict and solidarity building as a means of achieving peace and making the world a better place. Also, if you're a socialist or a leftist or whatever and suck at conflict resolution on an interpersonal level, you gotta get real good right now. It's hard. But it's worth it to build the type of world we want to see, which, if you're anything like me, is very much like the world portrayed in these three cartoons. The world that the Soviet Union glorified in its animation and attempted to build. They are a beautiful expression of the socialist values that the Soviet Union aimed to embody and that we should also aim to embody as people fighting for a better world. Thanks for watching. If you've gotten this far, let me know what you think about the values.
Good video. I posted it in chat. Yeah. To build a little bit on that, yeah, the Soviet Union was a very early adopter of animation. They were doing animations like in the 1920s. They were innovators in some ways. But yeah, there was some interest, so I think I'm gonna try to find old Soviet cartoons and clean them up and share them as well. Those weren't the ones I was thinking of sharing were more explicitly political, typically, or more like artistic rather than children's cartoons. But I think that children's cartoons obviously also play an important role in terms of instilling, socialist values. So, yeah, I wonder if there's a video out there just about the history of the Soviet animation industry. Alright, what should I watch next? Give me money and I'll watch it. I was gonna watch the Soviet Afghanistan video, but I'm feeling kind of tired, and I don't know if I want to commit to an hour and 9 minutes. Oh, here was something else I wanted to talk about. Was this channel Overzealots is like one of those new, not new, but a growing leftist video and leftist channel, and they, part of this Q&A, they say, is Leninism a net positive or negative? And I didn't watch all of it, but I think he said it was a net negative, so I wanted to watch it and give my thoughts. But yeah, these why I left the right people, generally, I don't find them very trustworthy, at least if it's like you recently left the right, If you're someone who was like a right-winger a couple years ago, like, you have nothing to offer. You don't have much to offer. I mean, like, if you just a couple of years ago, thought minorities were evil and gay people were evil and shit, like, you are far from, like, being an authority figure when it comes to talking about politics. But, I don't know. Which is not to say that you can't become, like, have good politics. See Derek Varn. I don't agree with everything he says, but I think he's a pretty principled leftist. He used to be a right-winger. But at the same time, when C. Derek Varn talks about how he used to be a conservative, it's like, he sounds like he had like no... He was barely a conservative, He was like an anti-imperialist, like, I don't know, he doesn't go into it much. So I'd like to know what he actually... Yeah, like, who here was once a right-winger? And not just like a vague right-winger, like an actual, like, true right-winger, and became a leftist. Because I think that's very rare. Not very rare. Didn't the Soviet Union have basically absolute artistic freedom? Not even close. Absolutely not. I don't know where you got that. That was one of the Soviet Union's biggest flaws. And I know people are going to comment back like, oh, but well, look. The Soviet Union fucked up when it came to art. I'm sorry, that's just a fact. I don't want to get into it right now. I can talk about it another time. But as someone who is an artist myself, I'm not going to get into it, but just as an example, when you make Adrian Tarkovsky the greatest director, arguably the greatest director of the 20th century, have to leave your country to keep making movies, there's something wrong with your censorship system. There's something wrong with the way you go about, patronaging artists. Because Adrian Tarkovsky was not an anti-communist. He was not anti-Soviet. After he left the Soviet Union, he never to my knowledge, like, condemned the Soviet Union or anything. But he just, it was just not conducive to, often to making the art that you wanted to make, you know. And I don't think you should be allowed to make, like, Nazi art or anything, but I don't know. But that's not to say it was, like, awful either. Especially after the best time was, like, in the 60s and the 50s was when you could mostly make whatever you wanted to make. Like, the 30s and 40s were a fucking black void. Was like a black hole of art. Especially film. You know, like Eisenstein, you had all these groundbreaking movies and directors. Man with a Movie Camera, all these movies. And then in the 1930s and 40s, it just became like the only movie you could make was like an epic about, like, Nicholas the Great, some past Russian, or, like, the most fucking boring, stale, rote, unimaginative propaganda, where socialist propaganda is good, but this is, like, not good for the most part. It was just fucking trash. And it was so bad that artists killed themselves because they couldn't do anything. You know, so it's actually, like, it was a disaster, basically. Although it got better later on. I would say probably the over censorship of art was top 3 biggest Soviet mistakes, I would say, because you need to be able to entertain people, you know. You need to be able to offer an alternative to the West and rock stars and all that stuff. And if you just repress any interesting artistic movements, you know, it's going to be more difficult to do that. But of course, there were plenty of great art made in the Soviet Union anyways. Thank you for mentioning that, Gonzal, because I was literally going to say that. One of the coolest songs ever made in the Soviet Union is Lenin is Young Again. And it's literally just a straight up, like, banger about Lenin coming back to life and, you know, and it's great. Yet it was banned. It was banned for like a year. Or something, for, like, having rock influences, you know? Like, it was so fucked. It was so fucking twisted and wrong. I recommend checking out this song, but I'll play a few seconds of it. Actually, I could probably play a lot of it because this stream is not monetized. I don't monetize my streams anymore, so not out of the goodness of my heart, but because YouTube auto demonetizes all of them anyways. So if you want to support me, please subscribe to Patreon or in the chat. Thank you. But anyways, it's just insane. They banned that song. That's an indicator of just how stupid the censorship was, you know. Not to say that you can't do some censorship, but it just went too far. Anyways, let's check out what this guy thinks about Leninism.
albums. Next question. Would you consider the USSR and Marxism-Leninism as a whole to have been a net positive or net negative? I'm leaning towards net negative with the
Look at that CIA-ass comment username. Look at that shit. John Doe XS5GV. Fucking CIA-ass comment.
damage it's done to communism as a whole and how it is perceived by the West. I find myself taking the
Okay, so the how it is perceived by the West thing, the West creates the perception of the Soviet Union, right? It is the West that creates the perception of the Soviet Union. The Soviet Union does not create its own perception in the West. It was the West that created the perception.
The Rosa Luxemburg stance on this. I am critical of Leninism. I'm not a Leninist, but when we critique Leninism, we need to understand what they were working with at the time. During the Russian Revolution, conditions were suboptimal, to say the least. They inherited a Russia that was ravaged by mismanagement. They were constantly subjected to wars and conflicts. With that said, the Bolsheviks did transform Russia from a backwards czarist regime into one where people had healthcare and education and overall a better quality of life. But I don't think that having a vanguard party made up of professional revolutionaries who operate on the behalf of the working class constitutes a real dictatorship of the proletariat. I think the vanguard should be made up of the workers, and I think the enterprises and state need to be democratized much more efficiently. I don't like the crackdown on dissent. I do consider myself to be more of a libertarian socialist, but at the same time, I'm okay with the idea of using the state as a tool in the short term to fend off external threats. The nature of the state.
Okay, so the Vanguard Party. So what the Vanguard Party is not just some system that is unaccountable. The Vanguard Party is the most advanced sectors of both the working class and sometimes, middle or upper class academics who have spent their lives or many years or a lot of time studying and reading and learning about Marxism, socialism, how to run a socialist state, how a command economy works. This is what the Vanguard Party is made of, these people. And their job is not just to be dictators or, unquestionable. What their job is to lead and be led by the working class. So, for example, they are not just going to, force and call for a revolution, tomorrow, right? Because there are not revolutionary conditions. But the job of the Vanguard Party is to take advantage of revolutionary conditions and guide the less educated, less informed workers in the right direction, right? So as I've said before, it's a diagonalist relationship, right? It's not horizontalist, but what it is both the Vanguard Party listens to the workers and the workers listen to the Vanguard Party and they inform one another. Okay? So, yeah, it's not about like, the Vanguard Party is in part the working class. It can be made of only working class people. But what it is, all the Vanguard Party says is that maybe the people that actually care about politics deeply and have read about politics and studied politics, maybe those people should have some power and influence, right, in leading a political movement. They should have power and influence, right? Not that they are completely overbearing, right? Not that they control everything, but that simply they are the most advanced members of the oppressed people, and they have studied this stuff. Because you don't just give complete and total power to a bunch of workers, half of whom might be far-right freaks, half of whom might be apolitical, half of whom might be centrists, some of whom might be liberals, right? If you just give a bunch of power to workers who are not made up of a Vanguard Party, they could go any direction. because they don't know what's going on exactly, you know? And then also they might, they might act in their own interests. They might eventually do something that acts in their own interests. If you had like a local area of workers, but is acting in their own interests, in the interests of the greater people broadly, or is it just in their specific interests? And that's another question, and another reason why a vanguard party is important, because it doesn't just let different small areas of workers do whatever the fuck they want and fuck each other over. No. The vanguard party brings all the workers together. The vanguard party brings all of the groups of workers together to unite, right? So anyways, yeah. The idea of a vanguard party is that people that have studied political science should have more influence. Yeah. I've said, it's like a humanist technocracy is what I call it. It's like the vanguard party is like a humanist technocracy, where you're putting experts in power, but their goal is not just to make money. Their goal is for the greater good, ultimately. The vanguard party is the most important and fundamental thing to learn how to understand as a socialist, because once you actually understand what a vanguard party means, it makes incredible sense. It makes perfect sense.
It just needs to be much more democratized, and the inherently authoritarian elements of statehood need to be addressed and ameliorated. The long-term goal for me obviously would be to either eradicate the state, as I perceive it to be an inherently authoritarian force with a monopoly on violence, or to alleviate and democratize its more authoritarian elements and usher in a more democratic form of governance. Of course, I can only express how I feel from my vantage point. If I were someone living under Batista's regime in Cuba or in Tsarist Russia, I would probably be a Marxist-Leninist, or at least sympathetic to the idea. So when I criticize MLs, it's not because I hate them. I look up to a great many of them. Look behind me, I don't know if you could see it, but it's a Che Guevara poster. But because I think that future projects need to be more democratic and directly involve the working class. It's not a secret that Lenin and Trotsky dismantled the workers' councils in the Soviet.
I mean, the Soviet Union deeply involved the working class. You can say they dismantled workers' councils, but if you actually look at who, and plenty of historical work has been done on this by people like Robert Thurston and Sheila Fitzpatrick. If you look at the kinds of people that were elevated, it was people who were just common workers, common peasants. They were taught how to read, and they became part of the so-called humanist technocracy. They were elevated, right? So yeah. There can always be more worker involvement, of course. This isn't to say things are perfect, but yeah.
Soviets once they took power. That's unacceptable to me. To wrap this up and stop being such a centrist about this, I understand why Leninism took the shape it did, but I think there are massive flaws within the idea. I don't like the idea of a one-party state full of intellectuals who operate on the behalf of the worker. I don't like the authoritarian form this is historically taken, and I don't think that having this elitist group elevated above the populace serves the spirit of socialism. I perceive it to be a deviation from my preferred brand of socialism. I think socialism is radical democracy. This includes full workplace democracy and transformation of the state and enterprise. This was lacking in the USSR. To quote Rosa real quick.
I think calling it elitist is, all it is just saying, the people interested in politics, the people interested in left-wing politics, the people interested in socialism, in how to make a state work, are the people that should have somewhat more power than fucking Joe Schmo, who doesn't care about politics, who only cares about, feeding their family and all that stuff, which is fine, but that person should not have, complete political say over everything they do in life necessarily, especially in pre-scarcity conditions. You know, post-scarcity is another question.
Quick, freedom only for the members of the government, only for the members of the party, though they are quite numerous, is no freedom at all. Freedom is always the freedom of the one who thinks differently, not because of any fanatical concept of justice, but because all that is instructive, wholesome, and purifying in political freedom depends on this essential characteristic, and its effectiveness vanishes when freedom becomes a special privilege. To answer your question about net negative or positive, I don't think I can fit.
All I'll say is Lenin pulled off a revolution and Rosa Luxemburg did not. I don't know.
My answer within that binary, from a Marxist analysis, Leninism.
I mean, that's a good question. Was there something more Rosa Luxemburg could have done in that situation? Like, could she have been more authoritarian? Or, like, could she have been more, like, you know, could she have done something more Leninist in nature to secure the revolution, or was it kind of just like a mixture of bad luck and fate? Because I only know a little bit about Germany at that time.
Took the shape it was meant to take at the time. It was a product of contrasting material realities, and for some it made life better. I believe it did so at the expense of the soul of socialism itself, but it's still there for us to learn from. The West's perception of it is out of our control. Even looking at past democratic socialist experiments, the West demonized them with equal fervor. We just gotta spread the good word and let the perils of capitalism continue to elevate class consciousness. Next question.
Yeah, I mean, it's not out of our control. The West perception, the reason I have this channel is to change the West perception.
What type of socialist are you? What is your ideology? I feel like I covered this already. I'd like to say I'm a libertarian socialist, whether or not my fellow libsocks.
That's a big fucking red flag, calling yourself a libertarian socialist. That's what basically just like Vosh and his fans call themselves.
Perceive me to be a pure enough libsock is up to them, but I am skeptical and critical of the inherently authoritarian nature of the state. If I'm looking down a lot, it's because I'm looking at my computer.
What are his recommended books? I'm curious.
Regardless if you're a Lenin, start with Wage, Labor, and Capital. It's a...
Okay. Classic. Former Revolution. Ideas and Opinions by Albert Einstein. Anarcho-syndicalism. You gotta read some Parenti, Brad. Anyways, yeah, I just wanted to I was just curious to check that out. Yeah, I know Bestie Marx made a good series. I think I watched it, but it was a long time ago. Give me money and I'll watch something else. Come on, pay pigs. Pay up. What do you guys think? Should I do it? Should I do it? I looked at a few of them. I think that was the best one I could find. Was that the one? I thought there was a different one. Oh no, this is the one. Where the hell did that come from? This is the other one. I probably am not gonna know like half of the fucking people in here. Alright, $15 and I'll do it. Terrible / tanky. Incredible. $15 and I'll do it. $15 in collected donos. For a tier list. Another thing I was gonna do was do like socialist thinkers and politicians sometime. Yeah. Tanky is where the best ones are gonna go. That's where I'll put the best ones. Terrible / tanky. Come on, guys. 15 fucking bucks. How hard is it? How fucking hard is it? You know what? I'll give you fucking options. How about that? We can do that, or we can also do communist leaders tier list. Communist thinkers, whatever the fuck. US presidents, all left here. That one's easy. Abraham Lincoln, D. FDR, and then the fucking rest, F tier. Easy. 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 Alright, there's 15 fucking bucks. Let's go. Wait, what the fuck is that? A? What the fuck is that? What the fuck is A? That's not USD, bitch. But yeah, this is my presidential tier list. Okay, let me do this unironically. I'll do this unironically, okay? Is there like a whole... Is there a every president one? Nah, because I don't know who the fuck these people are. Half of these fucking people. Is this just like the famous presidents? But they don't have Bush in this one? What the fuck? Alright. No, this is way too many tiers. Holy shit. There should be a don't know option. Like, what the fuck? Okay. Okay, unironic presidential list. George Washington, F tier. Jefferson, F tier. All F, 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 F. You know what? No, I have to have D, because I have to have somewhere to put the truly horrifically evil ones, you know? These all suck, but I have to have like an extra tier for the truly horrific ones. Buchanan, F tier. Lincoln, C tier. Andrew Johnson, F tier. Ulysses Grant at least like tried to do some good stuff. I know Rutherford Hayes like tried to do some good shit. D, 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 D. Teddy Roosevelt. Huge racist, but he also did a bunch of antitrust shit. I wish I could put these guys in F, but Herbert Hoover, F. FDR, C. Harry Truman, easy F. Harry Truman is the most, like, unknown how evil he was dude ever. JFK, D. Lyndon Johnson, D. Richard Nixon, D. Gerald Ford, D. Jimmy Carter, D. Ronald Reagan, F. W. Bush, D. Bill Clinton, D. George W. Bush, F. Barack Obama, D. Why the fuck is Andrew Jackson at the very end? But Andrew Jackson, F. Easy F. Donald Trump, F. I could have tried a little bit harder, but that's my quick ass summary. Oh yeah, I can add tiers and shit. That's true. Maybe I'll do more of a try hard one someday, but that's my list. I mean, you could argue FDR is F because all of his reforms helped, like, basically just helped, all of his reforms basically just helped, like, basically help the U.S. like live longer, you know. Obama bombed Libya, but he also, the one thing I was thinking that he did that was good was that he tried to reopen relations with Cuba, at least a little bit. But yeah, I mean, you gotta differentiate Obama and Reagan. You know, there's gotta be like a differentiator, somewhat. Although Reagan also like at least like stopped Israel from doing some shit, or but yeah. Yeah, I told my dumbass brother that I'm streaming, but he's yapping and making noise anyways. Hell yeah. Thank you. Alright. Alright, well. That's good enough. I'll fucking take it. Let's do this shit. Alright, one dime. I would say one dime is great. I listen to his One Dime Radio every single episode. I'm also subbed to his Patreon because he has parts of his episodes on Patreon. And you know, I do not agree with everything One Dime says, but I think One Dime is ultimately very interested in finding the truth, you know. I think he's a genuine, earnest guy who, you know, wants to basically just make the world a better place. And yeah, he also, his videos on Mao's China and Putin, like Russia and all that stuff, are incredible. His more theory-based videos are not as interesting to me. But they're still good. But I especially like his history videos, and I especially like his talks on One Dime Radio. So yeah, and multiple times for a while we've been setting up me going on One Dime Radio. So we'll see if that happens eventually. But yeah, Adam something, not a leftist, not even close to a leftist. Fucking Adam something is hilarious, dude. That guy is like absolutely insane. Let me see if I can find the oh yep, I found it. Great. He's one of those liberals that like literally would happily have the world be destroyed by nuclear war in defending Ukraine. Yeah, like here he is like admitting he'll vote for Macron, the centrist neolib. Here he is saying that people in his Discord should be allowed to say words like the N-word, the F-word, and the R-word because he wants to pull people left. So he says you can't use those words because he's trying to pull people left. Yeah, the dude's absolutely insane. He thinks Russian imperialism is worse than American imperialism. He thinks China is worse than the US. Yeah, so I mean, he's a joke. Alexander Vila, I don't know them. Alice Capel. I've like sort of, I think, watched like one of her videos or a couple. She's like that French chick, right? But I don't know. I wasn't pulled in, but I'm not against her. Alki, that sounds sort of familiar, but I don't know who that is. I think, is that an anarchist? I feel like it is. Amazing Atheist. Annoying, obviously. I watched Amazing Atheist in like high school. When I was going through my militant atheist phase. Yeah. Who the fuck is that? An actual joke? I've never heard of them in my life. Nancy's Library, isn't that like some anarchist? Anarchist cat girl, don't know who the fuck that is. Oh, Abelina Sabrina, that's Gus Johnson, but I mean, she's on Means TV. Gus Johnson's ex is on Means TV, so she's probably a cool anarch. I need to add another tier here. Shit, that's not where I wanted that. Let me see. Let me say, well-meaning anarchist. And that's where I'll put him. Same with Andrewism. Though I think anarch is better than Andrewism. Don't know who the fuck Angie Speaks is. Or Anna Marie Forcino. I don't know any of these people. Azure Scapegoat is good. Yeah, I don't think they have many videos, but they did that animation of Michael Prenti and all that stuff. The main reason I wouldn't put them in great is just because, like, I don't know much else of what they've done. I haven't watched much of their stuff and all that, but I know they're good though. Bad Faith podcast. You know, I kind of get weird vibes from her sometimes. And she also, like, still has Virgil Texas on her Twitter page, which is really fucking weird. Virgil Texas is, like, the worst guy from Chapo Trap House who turned out to be, like, a sex pest. This is weird, too, because not a leftist and good liberal, bad liberal. Well, liberals are not leftists, but whatever. Badempanada, S tier. Goes without saying. My political maturity basically went along with watching Badempanada videos. And also his second channel, Badempanada Live. Where I learned a lot. And I came to really respect him and his consistent anti-imperialism, his consistent principles, his extreme devotion to accuracy. I see him as what basically, just looking alone at his channel and all that stuff as like the ideal of how socialists should be on YouTube. When you think of just his like YouTube stuff, Yeah. I was actually thinking of making a video talking about Badempanada. Because I think, yeah, I think the way he conducts himself online is taken out of context sometimes, because, you know, at a certain point, when people are so, you know, disrespectful of the truth, disrespectful of treating other people kindly, in terms of, you know, actually being kind. Actual being kind is not about politeness or manners. It's about standing up against injustice, standing up against, you know, harm, hate, death. That's what being kind is. It's not about manners, right? So I don't really condemn or am against the idea of being rude to people who care more about politeness and manners rather than actual principles, and standing up against, you know, harm, actual harm that isn't just words. Anyways, I have a video that I might make to talk about this more. Bad Mouse, hoo boy. I'll put him in well-meaning anarchist, but he is a total dumbass. And my video talking about him, I'll link. He's basically like a journeyman politically. Like, he changes his political belief like every like few months. Let me see if I can find. That's my video where I talk about Bad Mouse. Let's see. Balkan Odyssey. Absolute Chad. Giga Chad. Very nice guy. Plus, he makes really well done videos. Used to be a chud, but he became a base-ass leftist, so. Beau of the Fifth Column. Okay, we need a new tier. We need a new tier for actual unironic Fed. So if you're familiar with Beau of the Fifth Column, he is an actual unironic Fed. Oh wait, I have to add it real above. Beau of the Fifth Column is an actual, literal CIA, FBI Fed. I'm not even kidding. I did a stream about it a while back. It's in the stream list if you want to see. But yeah, he is straight up like 95+%. He's literally a paid fucking CIA agent. Bellum Rhea, I don't know who that is. Big Joel. I'm gonna remove the fucking bad liberal. There's no such thing as a good liberal. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? Liberals are just well, I guess there's left liberal and right liberal. So I guess you could say that. Left liberal and right liberal. I guess you could say Big Joel's a left liberal. But yeah, he is not really a leftist at all. He rarely talks about leftist politics at all or anything like that. He was a strong advocate to vote for Kamala. Kaylin Conrad, I don't really know them. Caleb Maupin has to go in the annoying / funny tier. Caleb Maupin is the GOAT. I'd say there are conscious liberals versus unconscious liberals. The former are bad, but the latter are just ignorant and well-meaning. I strongly agree. I strongly agree. That's something I've been thinking about for a while. The conscious ideological liberal versus just like the conditioned liberal. The conscious ideological liberal is scum, you know? But like the kind of just unconscious conditioned liberal is definitely different. Okay. Carlos Maza. Isn't that guy from fucking BuzzFeed? I don't really know anything about him. Don't know. Chill Goblin. I don't know too much about him, but he's pretty cool. He also follows my channel, so that must mean he's pretty good. He did a video talking about the people on Epstein's list, so that's cool. Don't know who the fuck that is. I don't know why Chud Logic is on here. Oh my god. Chud Logic is hilarious. If you guys want to know who Chud Logic is. I feel like he made his thumbnails less cancerous than they used to be. But he's just like a bottom of the barrel commentary YouTuber. He even calls himself a Z-list streamer, which is pretty accurate. Anyways, don't know who that is. Climate Town. It's pretty goated. Oh, Climate Town is great. This guy is so fucking funny. And obviously videos talking about climate change are extremely important and valuable, so yeah, highly recommend his channel. Colormind, I don't know them. Yeah, ContraPoints. I guess she's a left liberal, kind of. I guess. I'll be generous. Conyer. All right, we need a new Voshite. Conyer's a Voshite. Daniel Torres is great, though I don't think he makes videos anymore. Let me see. No, that's not the one. Yeah, he's pretty damn good, but he doesn't make videos anymore. Is ContraPoints a Zionist for real? Is she a Zionist, though? I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. David Pakman, not a fucking leftist at all. I guess you could call him a right liberal. I guess you could put Adam Something and David Pakman right liberal, or conscious liberal, and then left / unconscious liberal, and then Chud Logic is literally a chud. It's sad because Conyers, what little I saw of Conyers' stuff was actually not that terrible. And she never really talks much about Vosh, but yeah, I mean, she like literally lives with Vosh. Let's see. Democracy at Work. Sounds familiar, but I don't know. Demon Mama. I'm not going to put Demon Mama in well-meaning anarchist because she's not. Voshite. Denims. Don't know. Deprogram. I don't know whether to put the deprogram in great or excellent. And the reason why is that I think that the lack of the visual element kind of takes away a bit from them, you know, whereas like Balkan Odyssey and Badempanada, they have that visual element. The deprogram is kind of just audio. So I think, you know, yeah, I think I'll leave them there for now. Oh, Democracy at Work is Richard Wolff. Okay, yeah, I know them sort of. They're pretty good. Destiny, obviously not a fucking leftist. He's a total chud. I mean, I guess you could say he's a right liberal. I'm trying to be as objective as possible, okay? I'm trying not to like I'm just trying to give my honest opinions, so DJ Mule, I don't know much about him other than he's an anarchist. I don't know. I just don't know enough about him. Dono Tio, don't know who the hell that is. Dr. Fatima, honestly, kind of annoying to me. I think she's pretty smart and educated, but her video defending postmodernism and attacking Alan Sokol had some problems, in my opinion. Dylan Burns, pretty much a right liberal, but I'll put him in Voshite because he is a Voshite. Is my man Bunker Cat on the list? He better be. Ain't no channel complete without Bunker Cat. Echo Gecko, I don't know who that is. Epoch Philosophy, you know, I think I'm going to put him in average. Ethan is online, don't know. Fab Socialism, I don't know much about them. FD Signifier, really great videos, for sure. Almost converted him into becoming a Leninist. Sadly, that failed because then Andrewism sabotaged it, but I'm not bitter. Whatever. Flea Market Socialist. Who the hell is that? Yeah, I don't really know them. Folding Ideas. Is that the dude with the glasses? The bald dude? Is he a leftist? It is the bald dude. I don't know much about him, but I don't really think he's very political, I thought. For Harriet, don't know who that is. Foreign Man in Foreign Land. I don't watch him too much, but he's pretty good from what I've seen. Hakeem? Again, another reason why I don't want to put too many people in excellent is because for excellent, I also want it to have, like, people who also, like, very rigorously cite all of their sources. And I can't remember if Hakeem does that, but I'll put Hakeem in S tier. Halim Alra was S tier when he was around. He sadly stopped making videos. I also have some slight disagreements with Hakeem. But overall, I think Hakeem can go in S for sure. Halim Alra, also great. He hasn't made a video in like 2 years or something. It's very sad. Hassan. Man, where do I put Hassan? I would say Hassan goes in great. I think that, you know, he... For all the criticisms you can make of Hassan, I think he's overall been a net positive for the world and for politics. And, you know, I think he's a good ambassador for socialism, and he actually is a socialist, so. Which helps. H-Bomber guy. He's great. I won't put him in S tier because not all of his videos are political, you know. But I don't know. His video on vaccines is incredible. I might have to put him in excellent. His video on vaccines is amazing. Yeah. And H-Bomber guy was also a very important, like, de-radicalizer back in the day. So yeah, I think I'll put him there. Don't know who that is. Hunter Avalon, not a leftist. Bosch guy. Illuminati. Awful, right liberal. Don't know who that is. Don't know who that is. Jay Aubrey, that sounds familiar, but I don't know. Jack Saint, I think he was on the deprogram, but I don't really know. Jacob Geller. I think Jacob Geller's not a leftist. I mean, I'm pretty sure he's just like a left liberal. Jacobin. You know, I think Jacobin has good stuff. I think it has bad stuff. It has a mixture. Let me see. Yeah, Sell the Houses to Who, Ben. Such a fucking classic, dude. James Somerton. Right liberal and also just a plagiarist bastard scumbag. That was the person that H-Bomber guy exposed brilliantly. Don't know who that is. Jessie Gender. I think she's just a left liberal. Jim Sterling. I don't really know about Sterling's politics. John the Duncan. Good stuff. Cuck Philosophy. He's sort of like a, you know, a left communist from what I know, but his video on the Red Army faction was actually really fucking good. Highly recommend Red Army faction. I think you can be sort of Zionist and also be a left liberal in terms of just being misled, but yeah. Don't know who that is. Jose. He's not a fucking leftist at all, right? Like, he just, like, makes fun of right-wingers. He's probably just a liberal. Cat Abu. I only vaguely know them. Don't know them. Kay and Skittles, pretty good. They were on the deprogram. I'm having fun. I don't know about you guys. I actually really like this shit. This shit is like my fucking crack. I love doing this kind of stuff. Keffels. I mean, just a straight up chud, honestly. I'll put her in Voshite. Just the app, one of the worst stains and plagues on YouTube, who only hurt leftist movements like all the Vashites have. Keffels has only harmed socialism and understanding of socialism and leftism. A complete plague of a human being. That's about all I have to say about her. Don't know who that is. Don't know who that is. Don't know who that is. Don't know who this is except the $5 a month. Knowing better. He's a lib, and not just a lib, but he's like a fucking really dishonest and manipulative liberal. Knowing better. He's a douchebag who pretends to be like the reasonable, you know, smart guy. I'm not sure where I'm gonna put Vosh. There's like 4 different things you could put Vosh in, and none of them are good. I might remove this. One reason I was a little nervous to make something like this is because I didn't want to ruffle any feathers, but you know what, fuck it. We're already halfway through. Let's keep going. Knowledge Husk. I don't think that guy is even very political. Don't know who that is. Who the fuck is that? Nope. Who are these people? Who the fuck are these people? Lindsay Alice. I mean, I think she's only a liberal. Loner Box. He absolutely sucks. Right liberal. Don't know who that is. Luna Oi. Great. Love Luna Oi. Great person. Great content. Marxist Paul. Great stuff. Love their content. Great guy. Merrick DeVille. First of all, I don't think she even makes fucking videos. She's literally like just like a Vosh associate. Mexi. Very good stuff. I haven't watched her stuff in a while. She does like the positive leftist news and all that stuff. Don't know who that is. I know who that is, but I don't know their politics. Midwestern Marks. I don't think everyone at Midwestern Marks are feds, but I think there are feds involved or chuds, you know, involved. In things there, especially someone like Jackson Hinkle. I don't really know their politics. I know some of these people by name and stuff, but I don't know their stuff. More Perfect Union. Just straight up liberals. Like, just straight up fucking liberals. Average Union, you know. Yeah. Don't know who that is. Noah Samson. Good stuff. His Palestine videos have been good. I could put him in great, but I don't know. Most of the stuff he does, to my knowledge, is not like too political and all that, you know. But yeah, he's good, very good. Non-compete, banger ass channel. I put them there. Yeah, I think that's fair. Not Just Bikes. Don't know much about them. Don't know who that is. Don't know who that is. Our Changing Climate. This guy has become like I think he was on Deprogram too. He's become like a total socialist leftist. Also makes great videos. And I think anyone who does climate videos and is like a Leninist is like automatically S tier. Non-compete is not an anarchist anymore. I hate that people still say he is. He's just demonstrably not. So he's a good channel because he's not anarchist. Don't know who that is. Don't know who that is. Peter Coffin. I don't really know enough about Peter Coffin other than he's just kind of weird. I'd say annoying. Annoying / funny / weird. Is Infrared in here? I wish they'd put him in here. Philosophy Tube actually makes some very good videos. Their video on they had a video on violence that was very good. And then they also had a video on trans healthcare in the UK that was very, very good. She gets some flack and shit, and I don't know why. She's actually a very good channel. Way better than ContraPoints. Infinitely better than ContraPoints. Don't know who that is. Don't know who that is. President Sunday. He's a straight up right liberal. Like, he just is. Like, he's like basically pro-American imperialism. In a roundabout kind of way. Don't know who that is. Professor Flowers. Pretty good. Holocult. Very good. Oh, does she really not talk? Has she not talked about Palestine for real? That's disappointing if that's true. Fuck her if that's true. Well, I'll look into it later. She alluded that Jeremy Corbyn was anti-Semitic in her anti-Semitism video. Are you sure about that? Because if she did, that's very disappointing. I did not know that. Whatever, we'll move on. Quentin, don't know what that is. Radical Reviewer. Voshite. Re-Education. I genuinely think Re-Education is a well-meaning guy. Well-meaning anarchist. Red Plateaus, don't know who that is. Renegade Cut sounds familiar, but I don't know enough about him. Revolutionary Blackout Network. They have some people that are good on their show, and then some people that are like, I don't really know. I don't know enough about them to comment. Revolutionary Left Radio, pretty great. You could put them in S tier, but I'm just going to put them there because of the lack of the visual element. Don't know who that is. Don't know who that is. Ryan Beard, Total Liberal. No. Who the fuck are these people, man? Oh, it's Samantha Luck. She's like that trans girl. Sean DeBlack. I know he's like a Son-like streamer. Second Thought. Easy S tier for me. His production value is great. His writing is great. Everything about Second Thought is great. I think he's accessible not only to normies and new people, but also, even if you're already familiar with politics, he still says interesting stuff, and he does it all very well. Definitely one of the very best that YouTube has to offer. I don't think I've learned a single thing from Radical Reviewer. All his videos are so vapid and they go nowhere. Yeah, thank you for that input, because once I knew that he was like a Vosh guy, I never like clicked on a single one of his videos. Like, I was gonna watch his video and then I saw that like he was like a Voshite, and I was like, oh, okay, so he's just a loser that isn't worth listening to at all. What the fuck is going on? Secular Talk. I think he's a genuinely well-meaning social democrat. And Secular Talk was the dude I grew up watching in high school and college, listening to when I was a liberal. Yeah. Although his Kamala, his presidential prediction was just awful. Shark 3-0, shameless Voshite, and scumbag, pretty much.
There's a problem.
This is Shark 3-0. You guys ready?
There's a problem for Donald Trump. Not only is a win for Harris likely, a blowout is. And nobody sees it coming. Not only is a win for Harris likely, a blowout is.
Posted.
Yeah, so that's kind of the level of intellect you're getting with Shark Zero. That's the level of thinker you're getting with that kind of guy. Is Sean not on here? Sean is right up next. Sean blocked me on Twitter a long time ago in an argument we had, but his videos, and I think he was mostly in the right in our argument, and his videos are very, very good. I would almost give him an S tier. I feel like he just makes videos so rarely that I don't know if it's like, but his video on like the dropping the nukes in Japan is really good. I'll put him there. Don't know who that is. Shoe on Head is like a literal chud and a Voshite. Don't know who that is. Sisyphus 55. He was on the Deprogram. He makes some pretty cool videos, I think. I'm gonna put Noah Samson up here, I think. Skellman. Don't know who that is. Sean's an anarchist? Are you serious? Sock done left. Okay, of all of the Voshites, I'll be honest, I dislike Sock done left the least, but that's not saying much. I think that his attempts to be very fact-based are admirable. And I mean, I think of all the Voshites, I don't think he associates with Vosh anymore, but of all the old Voshites, I think he's the least bad, and I know that's a controversial opinion. I know that's very controversial, but yeah. Whatever, I said it. Some more news. I used to watch this guy all the time. He's hilarious, but I don't think he's really a leftist. He kind of is, maybe. I don't know. But yeah, Socked on Left doesn't even fucking make YouTube videos anymore. He just fucking... He literally just, fucking argues to vote for Kamala Harris on Twitter. Like, that's all he does. Sophie from Mars, Sex Pest and Anarchist. I don't know. Spooky Scary Socialist, good, but they don't really make videos. Who the hell is Step Back? Who the hell is Ceris? Who the hell is Swolsome? TIJ, just a straight up proud liberal. Just an unapologetic total liberal. Tara Mukni, don't know enough about her. Don't know who that is. Don't know who that is. Don't know who that is. The Gravel Institute was great, and then it like just shut down. They were like the left wing Prager University, and they were great, but they kind of just shut down. What happened to them? They just stopped making shit out of nowhere. Anyways, you guys gotta pay for me to keep going. I should have left all the most interesting, all the ones that people wanted me to say the most. Oh, there's some pretty interesting ones here. Come on, don't you guys want to know my opinion on Ugopnik? Vosh, the Finnish Bolshevik, the leftist cooks, Cavernacle, give me money and you will know. Give me money and I'll tell you the truth. Well, you're just a prole. Well, I'm just in the Vanguard party telling you that it's best for your interest to give me money. I'm a specialist in this. I've done the math. Hell yeah. Why did the notification not play for that? Thank you though. Thank you, Liar Judas. Alright. I'll give a couple more because you did that. Cavernacle. I don't really watch his stuff, but he seems fine. His fucking video game opinions are horrific, though. He thinks Baldur's Gate 3 is bad, and he thinks like Elden Ring is mid. Like his video game opinions are horrific, just unspeakable, unspeakably bad. So I'm putting him at the bottom of good. The Leftist Cooks, very good channel from what I've watched. Fun stuff. No problem, man. I remember you from Famous Horse. You were a Famous Horse viewer? Wow. Yeah, I miss Famous Horse. Good guy. We kind of had a falling out, but, you know, I wish him the best. I really should have saved my opinion for more of these people. I should have fucking paywalled my opinion. God damn it. Let's see. Okay, give me money and I'll tell you what I think about Sam Cedar. Don't you guys want to know what I think about Sam Cedar? And Hassan? Don't you guys want to know what I think about Hassan? Wow, give me money and I'll tell you. And Sam Cedar? And Sean. Should Majority Report change their name to Minority Report now that Kamala lost? Bam! 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 Don't you guys want to know my opinion on Hassan and Sean? And Badempanada. Damn it, these are the guys I should have paywalled. Fuck. And whatever. I didn't PayPal all the most interesting ones. Fuck. Now you broke ass fuckers won't give me your money. Robert, you have a job. Give me money. Where's Badempanada? He's next if you give me money, and I'll tell you what I think about him, Jackborn. No, you didn't. He was down here. I was going to do him next. You're here to give me money. Oh, you thought Badempanada was gonna be with me on stream? You fucking dupe. Are you fucking kidding me? Okay, Sam Cedar. Honestly, they're just straight up like right liberals. I mean, you could say they're left liberals, but like Emma Vigeland has admitted openly she is like a liberal. Sam Cedar has defended the State Department and giving the State Department more money and all this stuff. And they are not good. Michael Brooks show. Never watched it much, but a few clips. But I know Michael Brooks is very cool. And it's a tragedy that he was the one of anyone that would have to pass away. Progressive Voice, don't know them. Don't know them. The Surfs. I think he's kind of a Voshite. Thank you. Much appreciated. I will, that was for the ones I just did. Alright, now you guys want to know, you guys want to know my opinion on the Young Turks, right? Don't you want to know my opinion on the Young Turks? Give me money and I'll tell you. And Finnish Bolshevik, right? I'll do Finnish Bolshevik as a teaser. How about that? He was one of the channels I started watching when I was first getting radicalized. I haven't watched many of his videos though, and his production value is like kind of weak. But yeah, he has good stuff. And I know he's also very well read. So yeah. Man, I'd rather be a grifter than a dumbass like you. You literally thought the Soviet Union had no art censorship, bro. Shut your damn mouth, okay? Young Turks. I don't know anything about the Young Turks other than that they're like the epitome of liberalism, pretty much. Let's see. Then and Now, very, very good videos, honestly. Although I only watched like 2. So I can't be that much of a judge. Don't know what it is. These guys are pretty good. Thought Slime. Hold on. I mean, I'm not saying all of Midwestern Marx is, I'm not saying all of Midwestern Marx is right as all just like feds, but I think there's probably like some element of that involved to some extent. Yes, I pretty much do. Thank you, Greg, for the $5. TYT sucks ass, but I'd move Rev Left up a notch. As someone who works with their hands, daily podcasts get me through it, and it's one of the better ones. Yeah, I could. For something like Rev Left Radio, the reason I didn't put it higher is simply because I just haven't listened to it enough. But one episode from them I highly recommend is their French Revolution one. Fantastic. Truly fantastic. It was literally like paradigm shifting. So if you want to check out a great episode, check out the French Revolution Rev Left Radio. Thought Slime, I think he's actually pretty damn funny, but he is an anarchist. Three Arrows, I don't really know much about them. Someone said they're a grifter, but I guess I'm a grifter also, so they have multiple like former like convicts. Like they have a weird, like they have this Scott Ritter guy who's like a convicted pedo, I think. I don't know that. That's what I heard. Yeah, oh my god. Like, they have, like, Chris Halal. They have all these weird guys with weird, like, criminal pasts. Like, this guy works for them. He's a convicted child sex offender and a former Marine Corps intelligence officer. Well, why did you say that? Why did you call me a grifter and then you said I shouldn't have said that? I don't fucking understand what the point of that was, but okay. Because if I actually wanted to be a grifter, I could just become fucking like Big Joel, you know? I could just do the Big Joel thing or any of the other left liberal channels. I don't want to do that. But yeah, like this guy's written for Midwestern Marx. It's just weird guys. Is this the weird one also? Yeah, so this guy, part of Midwestern Marx, he was accused of embezzling in the IWW. He said he abandoned his child. Apparently. He fucking ran for high bailiff, which is like a part of the police. Very weird guy. Noah Kravchik. I don't think he's on here, but yeah, some weird. And then of course Jackson Hinkle, who's a fucking either a Fed or just the most obvious opportunist to ever live. You know, before they associated with Jackson Hinkle, I thought higher of them than I do now. Tiffany Ferg, who the fuck is that? Don't know that. Don't know much about him. Tom Nicholas, honestly, S tier. Underrated. Tom Nicholas is a very underrated and great channel. Town of Taiwan. I don't know them. Unlearning Economics. Total fucking liberal. I think it would be generous. I think I'm gonna put him in annoying. How is Hinkle involved? Hinkle was part of the founding of the American Communist Party with the Midwestern Marx guys. He's associated with them. Let's see. Oh man, there's some. All right, one more donation and we'll get through the rest of them. How about that? One more dono and I'll get through the rest. Don't you want to know my opinion on Veridis Joe. Verily Bitchy. Such famed members of YouTube. Don't you want to know my opinion on Xander Hall? Who was on the deprogram? Three Arrows was? Because, yeah, if he's just a supporter of the SPD, it's not good. One more dono and I'll get through the rest. Come on, guys. Come on, guys. Who's missing from this list? I know there was some I was thinking of, but I can't remember who's missing. Oh, Bestie Marks is a big missing one. He's a huge one to leave out. I might adjust this list and share it in the Discord so other people, and add people like Bestie Marks. I don't know. I don't want to spend too much time on something like that. Like, I don't know who the fuck spent all their time like doing this, but like, it's definitely interesting. Oh yeah, Freda isn't on here. That's a big missing one. Chemical Mind. Come on, dude. GDF, that's true. GDF should be on here. Infrared should be on here for the memes. Midwestern Marks is here. Infrared should be on here. CNY, bro, that's not real. But give it to me anyways, I'll take it. Give me your CNY. Yeah, Bestie Marks, I'd put an S tier. I'd put him in the top. He is so good. I did a video on the Nazis, but on like how Nazis were repatriated, but his video is just better than mine, just straight up. Like, you basically don't even need to watch mine. One more fucking dono, come on. Come on, pay pigs. Yeah, but Halim Alra is still worth putting on here just because his videos are so good. I don't know what the hell happened to him. He just like dropped some bangers and just disappeared. I'll be right back. Does Flesh Simulator do leftist videos or anything like that? Wow Mao isn't on this list. Thank you, Anonymous. Come on, guys, one more dono. Or you'll never know my opinion about Veridis Joe. Am I gay? Give me money and I'll tell you if I'm gay. Hey, no problem. Best of luck finding a job. Tell you. I am, in fact, not gay, I'm afraid. I'm sort of a little bi, but I would say I'm mostly straight. I'm mostly attracted to, especially femininity. Anyways, yeah. Anyways, I will take that as qualifying to go on. Okay, so, Vosh, obviously garbage. Do I really need to even say any more than that? Don't know who the hell this is. Don't know who the hell that is. Oh man. Veritas et Caritas is like, they wanted to have like a debate with me, and it kind of fell through, and they kind of like spread some lies about me behind my back that are just straight up dishonest. So I'm gonna put them in annoying/weird. Femboys, yeah. Yeah, I just find femininity very attractive. That's basically the main thing. Although, you know, it's different kinds of femininity, you know? Like, I do like, you know, a woman, you know, with a gun, you know, I can find that attractive. Even though I feel like guns are at least traditionally, like, masculine things. Or, but yeah, like, I don't like muscle girls or anything like that because, like, to me, that's, like, masculinity. Yeah. What makes Midwestern Marks bad? Yeah, I mean, he has decent TikToks, but the people he associates with are just incredibly sus, you know? Just a who's who of fucking weirdos and crypto-fascists and all that kind of shit. Okay, Vicky. I think she's kind of an anarchist, but she's also like a Zionist. Like, I don't even know where to put her. I guess I'll put her there. Don't know who the fuck that is. Where in hell? Isn't this guy like a sex pest? Xander Hall. Oh man, I love Xander Hall, dude. I'm sorry. That dude is like... I don't think anyone has ever been less equipped to be a political streamer than Xander Hall is. Just an absolute meme of a person. And just an unashamed, like, the most archetypal hardcore liberal imaginable. Zazizi. Not a huge fan of Zazizi. He's kind of a left communist. Although I don't know much about Zazizi, so I think I just need to put him there because I don't know enough about him. Ugopnik. Good channel, I like his stuff, although I haven't listened to too much of it. So I'm not super well equipped to talk about his channel. But I do like him on the deprogram. Zoe Baker. Anarchist. I'll just put them there. I don't know anything about them. Whatever. Zoe B. I don't know who the hell that is. Alright. And there we are. What do you guys think about my list? Rockhill took down his interview with Midwestern Marks? Really? Wow. What do you guys think? Did I miss at all? I think this is a pretty good ass lineup, I'd say. I'd put one dime higher. Where would I put Freda if I were here? I'd probably put him in great. Good or great. Bump up Bad Faith. You know, I can't really comment on Bad Faith because I simply don't listen much to that, so I can't really comment. Yeah, if the Critical Theory Workshop were here, I'd put it probably in the top. They can work on their production value, but those lectures, those Gabriel Rocco lectures, have been extremely influential on me, and the other guests he has too are also interesting and fun. Tom Nicholas is anti-China, really? That sucks. I'll be right back. No, Jason Under is not on this one. But yeah, he was the OG. I didn't really watch his stuff, but yeah, like, before 2016, you know, there was fucking nothing. Like, who was around before 2016? It was like Finnish Bolshevik and Jason Unruh. And then you had the rise of BreadTube. And BeardTube. Although BeardTube took a while longer to kind of rise up. Theory Underground opinion. I don't know too much about them. You know, I think that they're fine. You know, they're kind of more of the academic, less political, more theory. But I think a lot of the guys on their stuff are basically the exact kinds of people that Gabriel Rockhill criticizes. Our Changing Climate is in S tier. Bunker Cat S tier. Hell yeah. Chud YouTuber tier list. Send me an example. You know what? You know what I want to fucking do? You know what would be fun? Would be a tier list of the Chud thinkers, all the conservative thinkers. Like ranking them in terms of like how stupid or funny they are. That would be fucking awesome. Hell yeah, dude. I'm looking for one right now. If you find a good one, send it to me in the chat. This one seems okay, but I can't see Jordan Peterson. If Jordan Peterson isn't on here, then it's fucking not worth my time. I don't think they have Jordan Peterson on. This is unacceptable. This is absolutely fucking unacceptable. Yeah, it is sad that Daniel Torres didn't catch on. He put a lot of effort into his videos too, but it just didn't. It's hard, you know. It's hard doing YouTube. That's why I don't fucking. That's why I try to not worry or care about it too much. Because the more you care, the more it can, you know, come back to bite you. There's a balance you have to make. A balance. Alex Jones is here, but there's no Jordan Peterson. I can't. Are you kidding me? The absolute GOAT? You're gonna do a list like this and not include the greatest to ever do it? Alright, fuck it. I'll go with this one, I guess. A tier of Simon Whistler's channels. That's amazing. Charlie Kirk, funny thin face guy. C tier. Rick Scott, Demon. Lame. Candace, lame. Ben Shapiro, hilarious. I'm just gonna remove this Z. There's too many fucking tiers. Greg Gutfield, obnoxious as hell. Lame. 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 God, this sucks. These guys are all so fucking lame. Ben Carson's actually really funny. Lame. 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 God, these people are all just boring demons. Sarah Palin's a little funny. Lame. Lame. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. Marjorie Taylor Greene, pretty fucking funny. Melania Trump, somewhat funny. Tucker Carlson, absolutely hilarious weirdo. Oh. Kind of funny because he's on cocaine all the time. One of the best to ever do it. Absolute Giga Chad. Hilarious. Ted Cruz, pretty funny, honestly. Is that Milo Yiannopoulos? Jesus. Penis Prager. Communism is based. Dave Rubin. Guys, the marketplace of ideas, guys. We have this marketplace of ideas where we can explore, you know? Wait, is Tim Pool not on here? Tim Pool is not on here. This is an absolutely garbage list, dude. Holy shit. Steven Crowder, pretty funny. Alex Jones, one of the best to ever do it. God tier. All-time great. Pillow Guy's kind of funny. Yeah, that's about it. That's about it. They don't have Jordan Peterson, who I would put in S tier, and they don't have Tim Pool, who I'd put in like A tier. Yeah, he's a liberal though. He says so himself. He can't be a conservative because he says he's not. Oh, Red Pen is a good example of a missing one, yeah. Alright, send me another fun tier list to do and I'll do it. Trump is the president of everything, yeah. I put Alex Jones above Trump, though. Tucker Carlson. What's going on here? What's going on? Why is it that... I'm trying to think of something funny and I can't. I failed. I need a funny topic to riff off of as Tucker Carlson. Ben Carson. I think that you know, if we just you know, I love everybody, and I think that we can all get along. But yeah, it's a crime that Jordan Peterson is in here. Leftist YouTube tier list would be W. Give me money and I'll do it. How about that? Give me money and I'll do a leftist YouTube tier list. From beginning to end, I'll do every leftist YouTuber you've ever seen, you've ever thought of. No, Jordan Peterson is N tier for normal rat. But yeah, the three best to ever do it are Trump, Alex Jones, and Jordan Peterson.
Rat. Rat is this. The rats are all like this. The rat goes like this. So the rat's like this. The normal rat is like this. That's the normal rat. Like this, like this. It sniffs. It's like this for quite a while. He's like this. And then maybe he sniffs. You are now a normal rat.
You are now a normal rat. Thank you, Christian Stone, for the $5. Now I'm going to do a left tube tier list. Alright, ready? Alright, Christian, close your eyes for 10 seconds. When you say, my eyes are closed, and then open it after 10 seconds, okay? Tell me when your eyes are closed. Tell me in chat when your eyes are closed, Christian. Okay. Ready? 10, 9, 8. All right, I'm putting all the stuff together, all the channels. I'm doing all the leftist channels. 7, 6, 5. All right, I'm putting them all. 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, open your eyes. I did it. Thanks for the $5. Couldn't have done it without you. Put it all together, baby. We should get a soundboard for the stream. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. What would I do with that? Yeah, I'm a fast worker, I can say. Anyways, thank you for the donos and the support. I'm heading out for the night. Thanks for hanging out. Thank you for the support, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.